Hey guys, welcome back to Mitza Creek Farm. Well, I have some bittersweet news. Patches is gone. I am trying to untangle Christmas lights. One of the perks of having your 13-year-old do Christmas lights is that it gets done and it gives them something to be proud of. It gives them another skill to learn. There's lots. The only downside I found is that lights that used to be really nice and put together end up being a big tangled mess. So since it's slow this morning, I'll tell you the story about Patches as I try to untangle these lights. Just got these plugged in, so this strand is almost untangled. How did it get through this? That's what I don't get. So let's start from the beginning. When we first bought this property in 2016, we got some cows. We got actually Black Angus cows. And one of the cows we got was from my uncle's farm. And he lives about an hour and a half from here. And he used to be a dairy farmer. And he just has beef now, and he has a big herd of beef. And he had a beef cow that had been injured, and he had been working with her every day, so she was like really nice and tame, and she just needed a place where she could have shelter in the winter so that her injury could continue to heal, because being out on pasture all winter and being with a whole big herd of cows is not very conducive to keeping an injury, big old cut, nice and clean. She was really tame, but her first calf was born that spring. I believe it was in April, and the calf was a heifer, and she had little patches on her back right down her spine, and so the kids named her Patches. And Patches was our first heifer born here on the farm, and we said we'd always keep her. So the first few years of having cattle, we would bring our beef down to my uncle's farm to get bred with his Angus bull. And when it started getting really hard because our livestock trailer is more of a horse or small livestock, so hauling 2 Angus in this small livestock trailer was difficult. And then getting them loaded, because we don't have the proper setup for Angus loading and that kind of stuff into a small trailer, is really, really hard. And so we decided we were going to switch from Angus to Dexter, because Dexters are small. They thrive on being pasture raised. They thrive in grazing, browsing woods. And so by the time we figured that out, it was probably about 3 years ago now, we had 2 Angus left, because we were slowly selling them or processing them, because we didn't want to keep doing the way we were doing it. We didn't want to keep doing that. So we have always said that since Patches is like a pet to us, and she's our first heifer born on the farm, we'd always keep her. But we ran into a little snag this summer, in this fall, in that you guys know our area went through an extreme drought, or is going through an extreme drought. That's why we have no snow. And we needed to start making some tough decisions about our herd and where we're going with it and what we're doing, and mentally and physically what I can do, because I have been doing way too much. It took pretty much all day, every day, to move animals to fresh pasture and all that this year. So we knew that we needed to sell our bull, because we've had him for 3 years now. And so we sold our bull, and then we decided to try to start selling some cows just to make our herd size smaller. And so we found a friend of ours was looking to add to her Dexter herd, and so we were able to sell 2 of our Dexter cows to her. So that worked out really nice. But then we came upon the realization that after those 2 cows left, we were still going through the same amount of hay as what we were as if we were feeding those 2 Dexters. We realized that our big hay consumer is Patches. So we were in this conundrum of what do we do? And so we called our hay guy, and we still needed to pick up 1 more load that we had already paid for at the beginning of the summer from, and so we asked if we could fill out that load, and that would get us to spring with some more hay. And he said that they are completely out of hay. In fact, he didn't have enough hay for his own cows for the winter. So that left us with a really big conundrum on what to do. And so, being that Patches is our #1 hay consumer, she was kind of next on the list, I hate to say. But what do? You need to make sure when you have this many animals that you have enough food for them for the winter. It's not like we live in a warm area where we can put them back out on pasture. We literally only start growing hay about mid to end of May, if we're lucky, and it stops growing the beginning of September. We were trying to figure out what to do, and I just was really struggling. And my uncle said that he actually would take Patches back to his farm. So last week we tried loading Patches, and it did not go well, which is one of the reasons why I love Dexters. We were able to load 3 Dexters, a bull and 2 cows, like nothing. But it was harder for Patches to load. And she ended up actually going right over one of our gates and tearing one of our gates down. So that would just kind of like solidified my feelings on I want to raise Dexters because they're so much easier to handle. But you know, Patches is like a pet to us. So we went back to the drawing board. We reconfigured our loading system a little more, and this morning we were able to get her loaded. It was a little stressful. More stressful definitely than loading Dexters, but we were able to get her loaded. So my parents and Beck are bringing her down right now to my uncle's farm so that she can live out her days there, which really sucks. But when you live on a farm, you have to make tough decisions, and she literally eats the amount of at least 3 Dexters. And so for us long term, it's not wise keeping her financially, and as far as having to constantly feed hay to something that eats that much. So, but it was a bit emotional this morning, but we were able to get her loaded before we opened here for the day. Thankfully, because we're sold out of trees, it's been slow this morning, so I'm able to work through everything. But there's been a lot of sleepless nights based on this one decision. And what are we gonna do if we can't get her loaded? Because processing dates are out so far. We'd have to process more. We'd have to process more than what we were prepared for. And you don't want to do that, but when you don't have hay and your hay source doesn't have hay, it's not like we could take out a loan to buy more hay. It's our hay source literally doesn't have any more hay. So it's been rough. That's been our morning. That's actually been our last week. Of really trying to figure out how to get her loaded, how to get her hauled down because of being open here so much, and trying to fit a 40-hour work week into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, plus Beck's basketball schedule of Tuesdays and Thursdays are games, and they're usually out of town, and all of that. The short days really play a role into this because it's not safe to load where we're loading. Because we don't have lights, it's not safe to load until it's daylight, and that's 7:30, and it gets dark at 4:30. So it really, today was like kind of like the big day of we have to get her loaded. So thankfully we did, and she is now off to her new home. Her mom, Snowflake, is still living at my uncle's farm, so she'll be reunited with Snowflake, and she'll be reunited with the herd where she would spend a couple months each summer, late summer, early fall. She would be down there with them getting bred, so it's not like we're sending her to the processor. It just still is just sad. All right, so I have one strand detangled from the rest in there, and I'm gonna hang this one right here. It's at the end of our driveway area, and so I'm gonna hang it from one of these branches and make it come down there. I have not been sleeping well, so I am completely exhausted. And then being open here until 7 in the evenings feels like it's about midnight, especially since it's been slower, because it still has been pretty busy, but because it's slower, because we're out of trees, that all that running when it's really busy really kind of keeps you going. So it has been dying off about 5:36, I would say, in the evening. So I have not been sleeping well, and then having that slow time from like 5:30 to 7 usually has been exhausting, and I'm cold and all of that. So I'm looking kind of rough, but it is what it is. I am really, 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 really hoping I sleep well tonight, and we have one more week left of being open here at the Stone Coop, and then it is Christmas. And even more exciting is that the school that Sydney goes to last year had a very short Christmas break. It was like maybe a week, and she is flying from across the country. And so she was home for a very short time last year for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. For Thanksgiving this year, she was home for 4 whole days. So it feels like it is always really rushed. Their school this year for Christmas break is 3 weeks. So Owen is picking her up a week from today. We'll have one day open at the Stone Coop while she's here again. And then after that, we close everything down. We'll be able to spend 3 weeks just not doing anything, hanging out with family, baking, doing all the things that we haven't been able to do, what feels like, for years. And so I am really looking forward to that rest. Had some customers come, and so it's taken longer than thought, but that's okay because we'd much rather have customers, right? So Beck is back from dropping off patches, and he got this finished for me. And so now I'm going to, we have another lull. I'm going to start on one further down the driveway. And I'm not quite sure if we can catch it on camera, but it is starting to snow, and they are big flakes. Well, we're starting to get some snow, and in between customers, I was able to get some more lights up. So behind this white fence in previous years is where we had the trees when we just did the roadside stand. And we have a big tree that Beck put up right there, a colored one. And then we have the white. And Beck put an inflatable Highland cow in the back of the truck. It looks really cute. And then we have another one right there. And then all down the driveway, we have trees lit up. So from the back, it looks like this, which looks awesome. And then up in the front, look at all those lights. And then we get up here, and this is the one I just put up today. It's up here. Usually I have an inflatable tree right in the driveway. It was a bit windy earlier, so I didn't put that up. And then you get up to the Stone Coop. And and look how beautiful it is. That was a pretty successful day. I was able to get a bunch more lights up, and Patches is off to her new home, so that'll make winter a lot easier here. And we're getting snow again. So that is it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.